Carpe diem. My name is Ultranatic, and here is the final Toll Drama Island 2023 vlog. And first, I want to apologize that I didn't get this out on time. I meant to release it this past day, Saturday, but I got caught up with a couple of personal things. But I'm getting it out now, and I'm gonna make up for it a little bit by not just going over the finale of this season, but I'm also gonna give a general overview at the end of what I thought of the season overall. But yeah. Just to get started, let's first get started with the episode title, Magma Cum Laude. Again, gotta give props, great title. And I'm sure most of you remember this, but just in case you don't, the last episode ended with Priya getting the anonymous gift of Millie's journal, which had been detailing throughout the whole season what she thought of Priya's upbringing, mostly just how rotten her parents were, and Priya, of course, finds Anne's offended, and of course, guess who gave it to her anonymously? It was Bowie. Doing so to break up their friendship so that he'd at least have a fighting chance in this finale. Now, cut to this new episode, where it opens with Millie crying because she's so distraught about having lost her first true, real friend. Priya, of course, being incredibly mad about the whole thing. I can't blame her completely. And Bowie being very excited because, he's like, because, he's got a chance now to actually win the game. But he does also preface that with anybody on Total Drama message boards who says that, I was going too far. I told you all at the beginning, I came to win. You know what? I can't fault him for that. I mean, it's Heather was the exact same way in the original. It was, not in the first episode outright, although a little bit that. It was more in her audition tape. I don't think I've even gotten into most of the audition tapes that much, but Heather's audition tape ends with her saying, "Put me in this show and you will get high ratings." She lies about a lot when she gets on Total Drama, but did she lie about that? No. You can call Heather a lot of things. Boring is not one of them. Same with Bowie. You can call him a lot of things. Boring, I'm genuinely entertained by him as a villain, and I think he's a very effective villain, too. But of course, moving on, we then get to the challenge, with this part being a race to get across a lake to a finish line. But to get to that lake, they have to cut down a tree somewhere inside the forest. With Millie desperately trying to team up with Priya again, of course, Priya having none of it. Again, can't say I blame her. And to help get their tree down with a two-person saw, what Chris will do is bring in all the losers, which includes Raj giving a very cute wave back to Bowie. Again, you two are just so adorable. And picking randomly from a wheel who their partners will be for this challenge. Priya gets a pretty good pick with Damien, since he's a fairly adept player who got along with her okay. Millie gets Ripper. There's worse, I suppose, but and then Bowie, the irony, gets the person he backstabbed in the last episode, Julia. This is gonna be awkward. Again, that's a pretty good part of the writing, I'll give him that. And of course, they begin the challenge. I'll admit there's one thing that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It's kind of a nitpick, though. I get why Damien is helping Priya. They were friends. I'm not entirely sure why Ripper chooses to help Millie. On one hand, it's nice that he helps her, but is there any reason he does so? Is there any kind of motivation? Because even Julia, given what happened in the last episode and given how much she wanted that money, makes a deal with Bowie to split the money 50-50 if she's going to help him at all, which he reluctantly, of course, signs. And then rescinds shortly after, because she's Julia, he's not going to care about that kind of thing. Priya is, of course, especially aggressive in the challenge, and, yeah, okay. I gotta list some genuine problems I have with the episode, because here's the funny thing. The characters, to a degree, act accordingly to what this situation calls for. Because Priya being upset by, everything she read from Millie's journal, yep, that makes total sense. And her being angry also makes sense given, her character. She's especially hard-hitting when it comes to, winning this game and how her emotions work and all that stuff. You can't call her a very reserved person, if you will. So her emotions coming out like this, I get. At the same time, it's a teensy bit hard to watch. Just objectively speaking. Like, I'm not saying you can't watch it at all, but it's one of those things where even I'm like, I don't know, like, but I can't follow her emotions too much at that point. Millie, on the other hand, barely cares about winning. Ripper has to motivate her. Again, I'm wondering what's motivating him to do this, but okay. And he gives her the dumbest plan whatsoever to rekindle their friendship, risking Priya's life. Yeah, the idea is he gives Millie the idea to sabotage her raft so it'll sink in the lake they're going to have to go over. And she has to save her on her own raft when they get close enough. And that will get Priya to like her again. Okay. I expect a plan that's stupid out of Ripper. I don't like it, I expect it. What I don't expect, and also don't like, is Millie thinks it's a good idea and goes along with it. What? You see, that's especially out of character for Millie, because she's not stupid. Short answer, she's not stupid. If you gave Z a plan like this, yeah, I can understand it. If you gave Chase a plan like this, yeah, I can understand it. Millie is not stupid. And does she not understand that risking your best friend's life, no matter what the final outcome is a bad thing for friends to do? It's like, remember back in Avatar: The Last Airbender when Katara and Sokka and Aang all came across Katara's father in the first season, and he got a little jealous, so he stole some kind of scroll or something from them to keep them from binding together a little bit. But actually, no, sorry, it wasn't their father. It was a friend of their father's, but same principles apply here. They were justifiably angry. Of course they would be. That was a terrible thing. Aren't y'all friends? Didn't they save you from an iceberg? Same thing here. It's like, y'all are like, I thought y'all really liked each other. You don't threaten to kill your best friend like this. Even if you don't want him to actually die, it's a terrible thing. But she goes along with the plan, of course, because after Priya's raft is made, it's a pretty good, well-made raft, actually. Priya takes Ripper's nail clippers, which he uses to trim nose hairs. Did not need to know that, but that's what we're told. She clips a couple of ropes on the front side, and of course it's going to make it a lot harder for her to get across the lake, which Priya and Millie begin racing, and Priya gets there first, and they discover that, per the episode's title, it's a lake of lava. Ah, that Chris. Okay, on one hand, that's a pretty good idea, and I gotta be fair, I like that's a little bit of a callback. It reminds me of Total Drama World Tour's finale, which also took place at a volcano. I mean, you can't say I didn't make that exciting, so there's that. So you've got, so yeah, Priya begins going over, and then Millie finds out the same news about the lake being lava and realizes, oh crap, I just might have killed my best friend. I mean, granted, I think she'd be in serious physical danger on a lake of water already, but yeah, you basically kill her. So she has to go and save her for real. Bowie, after Julia opts out because he rescinds the deal, has to take down a tree himself for his log, and impressively, despite taking a little bit more time, is actually able to do it, and even carries it over his head like this. Like, that is some damn good work right there. By the way, I apologize if you hear my stomach or something. I have to be on empty stomach before I go to bed, and I am filming this before I have to go to sleep, but pressing onward. Bowie gets up there, finds out the same news, and along the way in the river, Millie tries getting Priya to jump to her raft, but Priya refuses, even after her raft gets completely dismantled because the ropes burned off. And Millie basically reveals the plan, and how does Priya react? Exactly how you think she reacts, angrily. Almost too angrily, I'd even say. And now you're thinking, what is too angrily for finding out that your former best friend, who you found out was writing a journal that was condemning how your parents raised you, even if justifiably, just nearly sabotaged you in this competition just to get a friendship back together? Well, maybe she didn't know about that last part, but she knows she tried to sabotage her raft and all that stuff. That is a fair reaction, like, angrily. What's not fair, and I'd argue is even really cold, to put it mildly, is that after Millie offers her to get on her raft, Priya says, "Oh, I'll get on your raft, all right, but only one of us is making it across that finish line." You know that saying, an eye for an eye makes the whole world go blind? That's what this is. Like, you're threatening to kill her yourself? Like, for real? Okay, there's a possibility that Priya would not have died had the lake been made of water. I'd still argue it's a terrible thing for a friend to do, but would she have died? Maybe not. I mean, it's Chris. Even if it was a lake of water, I'm pretty sure I would have put some dangerous animal in there and whatnot, But yeah, here, no, with malice, you want to kill Millie at this point. Okay, I have a similar concern in Pakatu Island between Dave and Sky. Kinda, it's complicated, but yeah, threatening to literally kill contestants, no me gusta. I do not like that at all. I don't care if it's a justified reason. It's one of those things where it's like, no, don't do that. In fact, looking at this plot thread, there's a way you could have fixed a lot of these problems, at least on Priya's side. I don't know about Millie, because, I'm sorry, how do you make what she did justified? But at the very least, with how angrily and over-aggressively Priya might be acting, I think what would have been smarter might have been to just have her give Millie the silent treatment. Like, that's how pissed she is, just like, I'm not talking to you. I'd even say that's basically what Gwen did to Courtney in Sunday Muddy Sunday, and, hot take, I prefer that. It's the more mature thing to do, and it still shows how betrayed you actually feel. But threatening to kill her gives me the impression that the friendship that y'all had didn't really work with you too. And you'd think that maybe her angry reaction would show it did mean something to her, but not if you're going to literally end it permanently with death out of all this malice. Because if you really, I think what would have been better is had she really had been more mad about the friendship and everything, there'd be like tears coming down her face as she was being angry. Like, keep her angry. I'm not saying you take that away. What I'm just saying is show like a more humane side of her that she might have built up from this season. And talk about how, I thought we really had something together. I thought that you really liked me, but I was just a study for you? And you think my parents are like awful people for how they raised me? They raised me to be successful like this. Again, that's how she might try to justify. I don't agree with any of that, but you could conceivably write it like that, and I feel a lot more sympathy here. But when you see her go straight to, attempted murder, for either of these characters for that point, even though I'm like, what happened here? The writing's been really good throughout most of this season. That's just a lapse right there. Don't do that. Priya then sees Bowie come from behind. By the way, I like that his raft is literally just the log that he chopped down. It's a big enough log, and honestly, floats okay. And she jumps on it, and it appears it can, hold two people, so that works too. Now, Bowie's like, hey, get off my raft. Priya says, no, let's get to the finish line together so we can beat Millie. Bowie justifiably says, I can beat Millie a lot easier. Priya goads him and says, oh, so you're scared of taking on the bigger threat. And somehow that works. Okay, not as bad a problem as what happened with Millie and Priya a minute ago, but at the same time, I'm like, Bowie, did you seriously fall for that? Like, yeah, of course she's going to try that tactic with you. But whatever. They decide to pole vault from that log to the finish line, and either they are close enough or strong enough to do exactly that without hitting the lava, thankfully, and they make it, and Millie's, of course, eliminated. And this gets to a pretty big kicker in the episode where Millie asks Priya, hey, did you at least read the final page of my notebook where I talk about all the good things you said about me? And Priya says, I read all of it. There was no page like that anywhere. And then Bowie gets a little wink, and even I'm like, I was like, that is cold. How could you do that to this friendship? I mean, this is, kind of a Daylight by David Kushner situation of, oh, I love it and I hate it at the same time. Because yes, I both love and hate that moment. When I say hate it, I don't mean like, oh, how could you write that? It's more I hate in the sense of, Oh my god, how could you do this to these two characters, you maniacal evil monster, you! Ugh. I don't actually hate Bowie for making the move. It's just one of those things where it's like, well, you see what these two are like apart now, right? Get them back together. As bad as these flaws are, clearly them being together is a better solution. It's not like a Dunkney thing where clearly them being together showed the worst parts of them, keep them apart permanently. No, it's one of those things where, like, yeah, I think you need these two together because when you have them separated, one's missing their brain and one's missing their heart. Like, put them together and they might get those pieces back is what I'm saying. So yeah, on that level, I hate it. But again, not like hate, not like legit hate it. It's just one of those things where it's like, oh, I didn't want to see that happen. Like that kind of cliche sort of thing happening. But on the other hand, smart move by Bowie to guarantee they wouldn't get back together. I mean, it's stuff like this where, as out of character and badly written as these two were, Priya and Millie, at this episode, it shows how good the season has been when I realize I care so much about these two that I do want them to get back together. Because I really do. Because they had a really good dynamic. They had their flaws, obviously, and they addressed those throughout the season, but I'm just happy they had a chance together. And I do want them to rekindle that. Of course, Priya's not keen on doing that whatsoever, saying, I don't even care what she wrote in that last page. And then she immediately asked what was on that last page. Probably could have cut that out, but whatever. Millie says everything that she wrote and how nice she thought it was. To be fair, Priya could... I mean, on one hand, I'm like, Priya, why would you immediately trust what she says anyways after everything that's happened? But on the other hand, we also see in the season that she wrote that anyway, so Priya could legit just watch that and that would confirm it anyways. So, you know what? That works out fine. And they rekindle their friendship, and I'm incredibly happy to see that. Before I go on to the next part of the challenge, where Priya and Bowie have to face off now, let me give you a couple other highlights that I didn't mention. Chase and Emma are kissing throughout all of it. Gag me. We see Scara go just being her fantastic self as usual. She's giving like all these evil, devilish ideas about the challenge, and she's like, I'm upset no one fell in the lava. Never change. Never change. Scary girl, please never change. And we see Axel talk about having like all these different items on hand for like a stupidly crazy amount of preparation, which I thought was also pretty funny. And there's a little bit of extra shenanigans that go on. I thought that was pretty cool to see from the peanut gallery, if you will. But now the final challenge does pop up, where Bowie and Priya have to run up a mountain to some orbs and then race down the mountain in those orbs, and whoever across the finish line first wins. But Chef decides to make the challenge more exciting by having them carry two goats with them to the top of the mountain first to do so. They each have their problems, with Priya losing her goats initially and Bowie's goats being really standoffish themselves and not moving up the mountain very much. And then Bowie does get to the top, but before he can get in his orb, Chef gives another little change to the rules and says, wait, now make them milk these other goats here and drink a whole bucket full of warm goat's milk before getting in. And I like this. And a small part might be thinking, wait, weren't you against like a bunch of rule changes like this throughout challenges? To some degree, yeah, but on the other hand, you know what this kind of reminds me of? That Tom and Jerry movie where they go racing. The Fast and the Furious, I believe is what it was called. Fantastic title. But, yeah, like that race was supposed to end from somewhere in the United States to Mexico. But the creators were like, this is too exciting. We can't just have this thing end right here. Let's extend the race more and more and more and more. And I was cool with that because, yeah, the idea is that the host is a psycho, but it's also like, yeah, it makes the race more exciting. And here, it makes this race more exciting. Bowie's in the lead for most of the challenge, but Priya does catch up. Apparently her parents trained her for the goat milking part first as well, by having her live alone in the woods. Again, you can't be that mad at Priya for what she wrote. Like, really think about it. Your parents are crazy. Awful. Crazy awful and awful crazy. But yeah, Bowie gets in his orb first and gets a lead, but Priya's not far behind. Of course, they both vomit inside of their of their respective orbs to make it more exciting about not knowing who makes it to the finish line first. And Chris and Chef bring out some porcupines to deflate their orbs. And I argue that it might hurt the porcupines, but I might be wrong on the science there. And it's revealed once the orbs have gotten down there that the winner of Total Drama Island 2023 is Priya. Again, undetermined whether we get a second ending or not, but for this case, we see Priya win. And I can see either of these two winning at this point. There's a good case for them both to win. I'd love to see Bowie be the first openly gay winner, but there is a strong story and goal for Priya to make it there too, so I'm kind of cool with either. So, yeah, I'm satisfied with how this ending came out. Priya gets the final marshmallow, and then it's revealed that all the contestants left that are there are going to be invited back for the next season, which, by the way, yes, the first episode of said next season was already leaked. I've seen it. Same rules as last time. I'm not talking about it until these episodes properly air in North America, so please be patient, but I will get back to those down the line. And that concludes Total Drama Island 2023. Short review, I loved it. Yeah, there were some down points, I'll be honest, but man, this season had so much about it that worked. I love how diverse this cast is. I love how well written they are in general. I love how well written Chef and Chris are. Massive improve. Like if we gave an MVP to most, or like a most improved player, I guess, or most improved character, it's them. And okay, technically they're the only returning characters anyway, so what other options are? But no, amazingly, it's not even by default. It's amazing how much they fixed these two. It is, they could have been the one thing that dragged this season down, but they just make it better, actually. Like, I love how they interact. I love that they're both equally put together. I love that they're not sociopaths, but they do still work to make the challenge very exciting. Even occasionally show some care for these contestants. That's amazing. I love that we got the first openly gay romance. Well, but no one killed it. I mean, like, full-on confirmed gay romance. And, yeah, Raj and Bowie, fantastic. The way they deal with Raj coming out, beautiful. Scary Girl, I don't know if I said this, but probably my new favorite character in all of Total Drama. Sorry, Dawn. I love you, though. Like, it's a close race between you two, but, yeah, I love her. I love all the Final Four. Z was, of course, very entertaining as usual. MK, again, kind of had an annoying voice, but I love how she's raised like this big underdog villain trying to go under the radar. Not doing the best job at that. Only 3 characters that I really have major issues with. It was Ripper, Chase, and Emma. And even then, for Ripper and Emma, there's parts of them I liked. I liked Emma at the very beginning of the season. It's just kind of the longer she went on. It was like, oh, that's the kind of ex she is, dang it. And Ripper's a character that you are designed to hate, which would be a bad idea in principle if they didn't understand what you're supposed to do with characters that you're supposed to hate. Give them all the misery in a way that's very comedically cathartic. And they do that through a good chunk of this season. So I do even get enjoyment out of watching Ripper. So, Chase, on the other hand, mostly freaking hate him. In fact, I don't think I mentioned this, but he says before the winner is revealed that he wants Bowie to win because Bowie's a guy. No me gusta. But otherwise, yeah, I love this cast. The challenges were all incredibly exciting. I think it's a great callback to the original while being a decent update. The animation is especially fluid and really colorful all throughout it. There's so much that I'm going to remember about this season, even if I, like, even 15, 20 years down the line. Would I call it my favorite? That's a tough call, because if I might have said this before, but Total Drama Revenge of the Island is my favorite season. I can't wait to talk to y'all about that season. Yeah, there's problems with that one too, but it feels damn near perfect to me. But this reboot, it gives that run for its money. And if you're curious what my second favorite was before then, it would be Redonco's Race. And I still love that season too. But this one feels a lot more easily focused. which makes it a lot of it like it's focused but diverse, and you get a good chunk of like every character. I think the only character that's like underedited is Caleb because no choice. But I hope for the best when it comes to that second season. Which, speaking of, yes, I am excited for this second season coming out, which, by the way, I heard was called Total Drama Island 2024. I mean, it's airing in 2023 in Italy. Might not have been the best title there. I don't know. But yeah, I'm excited for that. I hope it's as good, if not better than this season. Because, yeah, there's a couple things you could maybe improve on. But overall, I loved watching this season. I thought it was a fantastic time. I loved making these vlogs, and I cannot wait to start them back up once this second season begins airing again in North America. Thank you all so much for watching these vlogs with me, and I will catch you all another time. Take care.